welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us talking, get us imagining, and perhaps challenge to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. Our topic today is a fun one. We're going to be talking about connecting with our pets, especially connecting with dogs. Now, if you're a dog person, you're going to love this show. If you are not a dog person, you're still going to love this show because you're around dogs, and anyone can benefit from knowing a little bit more about how we make the connection with dogs and how we ultimately create a language with them. Now, creating that language isn't something that maybe we're familiar with. And the way that we're going to get familiar is we've got a great guest who's going to be talking with us about his style of training dogs and ways that he can help you with training dogs. And that's John Rasakis. And with me today is my co-host, Rick Bernardo.
Oh, that's me.
Yes. Welcome, Rick.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I was just frozen. It's the morning, and I'm rising consciousness in action.
Well, Rick, I know you're excited about this because you spent a lot of time training a dog. It was a very important dog in your life.
Yeah, I love Lady. Who's just in the idea was to be a caretaker dog, but I don't know if she'll ever reach that point. But it's always good, and I could tell she just really loved it, even though she would roll her eyes a lot, at us at some points.
And Lady's a spaniel, cocker spaniel.
Cocker spaniel,
Yeah.
right? And we would just spend a couple of hours here and there at a Petco here and there. And there was different levels of training to get certified as a what do you call a caretaker dog or is this
therapy dog?
Therapy.
There you go.
go.
Therapy dog. I need the therapy now. Yeah.
Well, John, you do a little different approach than Petco. And John,
Yes.
I'd love to hear about both your background and what you're doing now with Paw and Order. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
So tell me a little bit about before getting into this and how you got into this and all that good stuff.
Sure. So before I got into dog training, I was an occupational therapist, pediatric therapist specifically. I worked with kids with special needs, and I primarily did that in school settings. So I worked for Minneapolis Public Schools for about 19 years, and then I worked right here, actually, in Eden Prairie Schools for about 5 years.
Wonderful.
During that time, say back in 2006, I adopted my first dog. About a year later, my then partner, now husband, and I started fostering rescue dogs. And over the years, we've rehomed over 60. So we've had
Wow.
quite a few come through our doors. And throughout that time, I just kind of, got bit by the bug, so to speak, and started really wanted to get into training, started reading books about it. And it was funny that I noticed a lot of overlap between working with kids and working with dogs. Right. And I mean that in the best possible way.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
love working with kids, and same with dogs. So I got certified in 2015 through Catch Canine Academy. They're sort of like a correspondence course. I then did a short 3-month internship at the Humane Society and then got hired there. And I worked there part-time for a few years teaching group obedience classes, some in-home training, a few other things. And then in 2023, October of 2023, I opened this business. I decided to do this full-time.
Wonderful. Yeah, I can see the correlation between working with children and working with dogs. Many similar needs in terms of the discipline, the consistency, schedules,
Yes.
all those things that children flourish with.
Yes.
I think dogs do too.
Absolutely.
And I think there's been a rise in people seeing their dog as the family. They're not like just kept outdoors, which we never did as a family either. But there was a sense of like dogs were not supposed to be in the house.
Yes.
And now they're like, of course they're in the house.
They're sleeping in our beds.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, they're our children. They're wonderful. We love being around them, but they can be a challenge if
Yes.
they're not. If we don't know how to communicate,
Exactly.
if we don't know how to connect in the right way. And you and I have talked about how important it is to have the right match for the dog.
Yes.
I can guarantee you, if you're looking for a dog and you want a dog and you go to the Humane Society, you will adopt a dog.
In all likelihood, yes.
There are
Yes.
very few people that can get out of going to the Humane
Yes.
Society when they have an interest in having a dog, not walking out with a dog.
Yes.
But is it the right match?
That's the big question, right? You know, and
Because you
it's-
don't want it to come back.
Yeah, of course. You know, that's
You
the goal
want
of
the right match.
Yes, and that's the goal of any rescue group or breeder, you know, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
You want to find the best home for that dog
Right.
that you possibly
That
can.
forever home.
Exactly. You know, but when you're working with rescue groups or humane societies, I mean, they may have limited staff, limited resources. So, you know, they can only do so much in vetting and making sure.
And they want the dog
That's-
placed. There's
Exactly.
an eagerness.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Because they want to make room for other dogs
Yes.
that need to come
Yes.
in. So, and I know you and I have discussed this, but
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was more of a demand or more of a market to bring trainers on board before you even get a dog.
Well, I think that is part of the longer or the long range view
Mm-hmm.
of the process of getting a dog.
Yes.
Because the first is making the choice,
Yes.
and then it's the investment in developing the relationship.
Exactly.
But so often, I mean, I even hear of people like, oh, I got a puppy for my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Why did you do that?
Yes, yes.
Is that, I mean, it might have been adorable and you might think that your mom needs a dog.
Yeah.
But that's not nice.
No. to either one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'd love to do is kind of go through the groups of types of dogs. Now, I know, of course, at a humane society, there will be mixed breeds.
Yes.
But even being able to recognize what kind of breeds is in a dog, you can
Absolutely.
get an indicator. So the AKC has 7 breeds that they highlight with their show dogs, essentially. And I know there's folks that are just absolutely dedicated to purebreds.
Yes.
And there's folks that are like, no, you should always get, a rescue, or you always should go to the Humane Society. I do both. And I'm not ashamed of that. I mean, there's times where I happen to really like the King Charles Cavalier Spaniel. It's a great breed for me. It's a great match. But would I save a dog if it needed to be saved? It's a rescue that's a mutt. Yes, of
Yes.
course. So let's start with, I'll give the 7, and then we can go one by one. And whatever we don't talk about in this segment, we'll go into the next.
Sounds good.
All right, so there's the sporting, the hound, the working group, the terrier, the toy, the non-sporting, and the herding.
Okay.
So let's start with the sporting. The sporting dog is the setters, the spaniels, the pointing. Love to go in that water.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about the spaniel. What do you think about what's a good match for someone who wants a spaniel?
Someone who really enjoys being outdoors a lot. Someone who can really get their dog outdoors for like a lot of good nose work, even sight work. You know, these dogs could potentially be good dogs for agility or even like a frisbee league.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that. Barn hunting could be a good outlet for these dogs. You know, they are trained to sniff out and find prey out there, you know.
It's so true with my King Charles Cavalier. One's a couch potato and looks at her like, no. The other one is like, she gets her ball and brings it to my husband
Yes.
and drops it and like, it's time now.
Yeah.
It is time. And
She is informing him.
yes, and he'll throw it and then she loves to find it.
Yes.
It's just as much fun to chase the moving object as it is for her to sniff it out.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely, yes.
and you worked with the spaniel.
I was going to say the Cocker Spaniel that I worked with, Lady, you could just see. I wish what's the where you can see colors in the air? There's a
Aura?
Aura. It's a kinesthesia, I think, where you have a brain condition where you see. Oh, you see music. You can see sounds.
Oh,
And
it's not kinesthesia. I forget the term for it.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But this dog, it's almost. I wish I had what I could see what she was seeing when we let her out for a walk, and we were taking a walk, and you could see
And the smells
a
maybe
whole
brought
world
her
was
a world.
opening up to her. But she was like, "Just no, I got the thing. I
I'm
got the
tracking.
thing."
I'm
And,
tracking.
and you could see that she was seeing all this stuff that like we're on a walk.
But a spaniel's good for me because I like a dog that is active and playful and fun. But also the spaniel can, chill out inside.
Yeah. Yes.
They can definitely chill.
This one is very smart
Yeah.
and incredibly cuddly.
So the next dog. This is a breed I've not had.
Okay.
I like the breed, but I've never had it. It's the Hound.
Yes.
They have a strong prey drive, a bloodhound, greyhound. I didn't know this, but a dachshund is
Yes.
actually a hound. So yeah, I found that
More
surprising.
compact version.
Yes. All right. So tell me about the hounds.
Hounds would really benefit from like nose work activities. Any dog has an incredible sense of smell. The hound group is by comparison like bionic, to most other dogs. They are specifically bred to have just that extra sensitive, powerful nose. So again, I think like barn hunting could be a good outlet for a dog like that. Even just playing like nose work games. If you have a lawn or if you have a park nearby, if you take a bunch of kibble and just throw it all in the grass, tell them go find it. Super easy, fun game to play with dogs like that.
And I guess I'd recommend go ahead with a dachshund. I not necessarily if this is your first dog getting a greyhound.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Greyhounds they're so scent oriented.
Yeah.
They'll take off, and it's very hard, I would assume, to really get a greyhound trained. However, there's some great greyhound rescues.
Yes.
That
And there are a lot of benefits just temperament-wise. They tend to be a little more laid back, quieter. They're more sight-oriented than your other hound groups.
Yeah.
So I think like playing fetch and frisbee is a good outlet for dogs like that.
Well, my technical producer has encouraged me to wrap this segment up, which I will do.
We're going to leave it at hounds, right?
We'll leave it at hounds. We'll come back, but give the website.
Web address pawandorder, the way it sounds, .com/twin-cities. Okay, pawandorder.com/twin-cities.
And we'll have John
Twin
Rasakis
Cities.
come back and share with us about the rest of these AKC groups, as well as maybe exploring the myth of alpha and alpha dog. So stay with us. We'll be right back after a few commercials that support our lovely station. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And today we are talking about our connection to our dog. But, I think it goes beyond our connection to our dog. I think having a connection to dogs helps us connect better with people. I think dogs can teach us so much as we try and teach them. And one of the themes of the show is understanding the language that needs to be created between you and your dog. And we'll get to that. But before you even get to the language, it's making the choice. Now, you may be wanting a dog, or you may have a dog and realize someday you're going to, be wanting to get another dog. As much as we love our dogs and as much as they bring joy to our life, we also have to accept that we have a limited lifespan with these dogs. They teach us to love, they teach us how to live, but they also teach us how to let go. And making that transition sometimes can be difficult. If you have a dog that has passed, you might not want the next dog because you've been brokenhearted. Trust me, you want that next dog. Dogs are an important part of our lives and can bring a lot of joy and a lot of learning. Learning is the essence of the show today with Paw and Order Dog Training. We've got John Rasakis and we've got my co-host Rick Bernardo. And in our last segment, we were talking about the AKC groups because we are, all three of us, firm believers that you need to make a decision about training even before you get the dog.
And what's AKC again?
That's the American Kennel Association.
American Kennel Club.
Club.
Yes.
Yes.
AKC. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you. And with that, we are looking at the different types of dogs that the AKC has put into groups that become part of shows, and breeders are part of the AKC and all of that good stuff. There's good reason to understand the various breeds, whether or not you get a purebred or a mix. Just understanding, is this a good match for you? Because even before you connect, part of that connection is understanding what you want in your partnership with your dog.
Exactly.
So we ended in our last segment about the hound. and we were talking about the Greyhound, and I know, Rick, you had a story you wanted to
Well,
share.
it was just last summer. I had a flashback to seeing posters on telephone poles in the blocks around where I live in the uptown area, and there's a picture of this greyhound, this lost dog, below in capital letters, "Do not chase." And it was a greyhound, "Do not chase." And I thought, yeah, this is a good safety tip.
You are definitely going to lose that run.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But you had some other things to say about that Greyhound.
Yeah, so like we were saying before the break, greyhounds are more what we would call a sight hound. So they're more reliant on sight than smell than other hound types. So things like that would really engage them visually, like even just playing fetch or a frisbee league. Things like that are really good outlets for dogs like that.
So especially folks that like to be out and about.
Yes.
This is a dog that definitely wants to be out and
Yes.
about.
Yeah.
Working group. That's the next. Now, I call this group the punch the clock working dog. Really, it was bred to like pull sleds and carts, guard the flocks. It was the working dog. Boxers, Great Danes, Rottweilers. Tell me about this breed.
Well, to your point, I think that's a really apt description. You know, they were bred for specific jobs, mainly guarding, heavy work. So if these needs are not met when you get one of these dogs as a pet, that can lead to behavioral issues, right? And it's interesting because in the dog's mind, this is just what they need to do as an outlet. But with a mismatch in a home that's not the right type of home, then it becomes a behavioral issue.
And it's a problem dog.
Right, and you saw, I was just about to do the air quotes too, right?
Yeah.
Behavioral issue where
Yeah.
really it's just the dog trying to do what they were specifically engineered to do. So, I'll often walk in and see a mismatch labeled as a problem behavior. And yeah, I mean, in that home, it is a problem behavior, but the dog is not a problem. They are just doing what they're meant to do.
What would be a good match for this dog? What type of family or
A family
owner.
who's active, a family who can give them all the exercise and stimulation they need, which, I mean, really, you could say that about most dogs. This group in particular, heavy work, like you said, right? So, again, I think these good dogs could be good for agility. Any number of sport-related, dock diving perhaps, could be a good outlet for these dogs.
and they do want to protect.
And they do
So
want to
if
protect.
you're
yes.
in a situation where you really want to feel like your dog is your alarm as well,
Yes.
system, this is a good alarm
Then
dog.
they're a great choice. I would hesitate though to recommend that dog simply for that
Yeah.
without taking the other things into consideration. Yeah.
Terrier.
Oh, I love terriers.
Do you?
I do. Let's just call them terrors.
Yes, I have had several terriers. For me, when I've had a terrier, extremely independent. I mean, we have to negotiate everything that we do, and they have to decide whether or not they agree or not. And we have to have maybe longer conversations to get to that agreement that I do with other dogs.
Yes. My late dog, her name was Alice. I adopted her in 2006. I lost her a couple of years ago. She's my sweet little girl. She was mostly terrier. She was a mixed breed. She was about 30 pounds of just scrap.
Yeah.
She was great. She loved people. She was fine with other dogs. If another dog ever gave her the stink eye, she would not forget it.
I had an unfortunate combination. Not that I didn't love it any less, but I think it was unfortunate for the dog. It was half terrier and half Australian Shepherd.
Oh boy. All right.
So one part of it was like, how can I please you with the Aussie? I am devoted to you. The other part was like, oh, no, you don't. I'm in charge here. No, I don't care what you have to say. It's all about what I want.
Right.
And I'm like, and
Now
I could
where's
see,
the vermin?
I could see the cognitive dissonance going on in that dog where it's like, do I love you or do I need to let you know that I make up my own mind? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, baby. Who are you today? I'll respond.
Was the dog's
to-
name Sybil?
No, just about. No,
working on
that was Shiloh, but he was also great. He was my first radio dog,
Okay.
and he had his own set of rules,
Okay.
and the rules were very important to him to be reinforced.
Gotcha.
So it worked out for me. I mean, I do like terriers. They
Mm-hmm.
are very trainable.
They are. They're very headstrong. They are
Yes.
trainable. You know, most dogs are trainable.
Mm-hmm.
But what is specific to a given breed that presents potentially more of a challenge than other
Yeah.
breeds? To your point, terriers can be very headstrong.
Yes.
And they've got a lot of drive. You know, they were bred, as we were chatting earlier, to just run into holes without fearing for their safety and go after that vermin,
Yep.
go after that rodent.
Yep.
So these are fearless little dogs. One of the things I love about them, but it can make them more difficult to work with.
And if you don't like mice, it's really cool.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, we're already done with this segment.
So
Okay.
we were talking about terriers. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the website, if you want to remember that, pawandorder.com/Twin Cities. And there's a hyphen between Twin and Cities. Or just look up Paw and Order Twin Cities.
And we've got 3 more breeds that we're going to go through, but we're also in the next segment going to talk about alpha, and we're going to also talk about ways to be thinking differently about connecting with our dogs and how to create a real partnership. And we'll be right back shortly. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. And today we're having a really fun show. We're talking about dogs. Everybody loves dogs. And if you don't love dogs, the few that don't, you're going to be around dogs. And it's good to know about dogs because dogs is just a part of so many of our lives and they are family. And we've been talking about how do we connect with them? How do we create a good living situation for them and what their needs are as a breed and for us? To be able to get all the things that we want to have and having a pet and especially having a dog. So we're talking about that. I've got my co-host Rick Bernardo, who also is a big dog lover.
Indeed.
Yes.
I'm loving dogs from here.
And our guest today is from Paw and Order, John Rasakis.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And we've been going through the breeds. The AKC group has 7 breeds that they outline as types of dogs that one can choose from. And these are usually the roots of the mixed dog breeds that you want to look at. What are these 7 main breeds and a little personality? And is this personality and traits and needs right for you? One of the things that we're encouraging people to think about is even before you get to your dog, or if you're thinking to get a next dog, think about working with Paw and Order in terms of looking for the right match for you. And then once you have the right match, working with Paw and Order to help get the basic training. And when we say training, it's really not training your dog. It's training you.
Amen.
And how you can learn and share a language with your dog. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in this segment. But we're going to finish up talking about the AKC groups. American Kennel Club.
I was just trying to remember.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you. Good.
We've talked about Sporting Hound, Working Group, Terrier, and now we have 3 last dog breeds: Toy, Non-Sporting, and Herding.
Oh,
So Toy,
who knew?
great for the apartment.
Yes,
Small dog,
yes.
usually bred
Portable.
for affection.
They were specifically bred to be companions. So that's really what they're meant for. You know, they're portable little dogs. They can be portable little dogs. They can be a good choice for apartments just in terms of size, but it's important to note they can be just as prone to behavioral issues or
They
behavioral
can
things.
be yappy.
Exactly. Yeah, they can be clingy.
Very.
Right?
And then-
Because they were bred to want to seek out human attention. Like anything else, genetically, there's a chance it kind of goes into overdrive.
And especially if they bond with one person in particular.
Yes, yeah, that can be problematic.
Yeah.
Yes,
But they're sweet.
they're sweet. Little known fact about them: one of the reasons they were, well, I shouldn't say, I don't know if they were bred for this way back, but at some point in the past, they actually were used as flea magnets.
I did not know that.
Back in the day when there was no such thing as fumigation.
That has
And it's terrible to think about.
no, but kind of interesting.
But back in the day, you
can
did what
see
you
it.
had to do, right?
Yeah.
Could be a new modern nickname for a dog.
Flea
I guess.
magnet.
It's not so affectionate sounding.
Well, what I've
No.
been seeing in the last, I'd say 10, 15 years is a lot more of these small dogs are traveling.
Yes.
and they can fit in your little pet carrier right under
Yes.
the seat in front of you.
Yes.
And I think that's an advantage for folks that love having their small dog with them.
It's an advantage for the person. I question the welfare
Yeah.
of the dog, honestly.
Yeah.
So
That's
it is something to think about.
yeah, I have to agree
Yeah.
that travel knocks me out.
Right? Exactly.
So I can't imagine what it would do to a 10-pound dog. But
That's under a seat in a container.
yeah, dark, scary. But we won't go there. For those that love doing that, you go for it. The next one is non-sporting. This also is companion, but they may be a little bit bigger. And it may be a misnomer because they list poodle as part of this, and we often think of poodle as originally being a hunting dog, right?
Yeah, the standard poodle.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's bulldogs, Dalmatian poodles. They're companions that are non-sporting. It's kind of a weird group.
It really is. Every time I look through the AKC groupings, I see this one as where are we going to put these dogs group? You know, I think maybe like miscellaneous might be good.
Miscellaneous.
All the
group.
others, the rest of them.
And the others, yes.
Yeah, and so it's hard to know how exactly what to think about for the non-sporting breeds, and
Yeah.
but that's what they call them. The last one, near and dear to my heart,
Yes.
the herding dog, bred to move livestock. They're very intelligent. They need a job.
These are working dogs, capital letters underlined, and probably the single biggest breed group that I've worked with in terms of, please come, we're having behavioral issues now. And to my point that we talked about a little earlier, I'll come in and work with this dog, do the eval, and just see what they're doing. And through my eyes, like, well, they're just doing what they are meant to do.
Yeah.
You know,
And is this a right match for you?
is it a right match? So
Because
yeah.
they need work and they
They're-
need a
they're
job.
very- and this group in particular tends to not be as affectionate or warm toward humans. That's just not what they were bred to do.
but they're very loyal.
They're very loyal.
And they
and
look
they're-
at you as if you are a god or a goddess.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they're very
Which is-
attentive. Well, yeah.
They're attentive.
When you're first waking up, like,
Yes.
really, I'm a god.
Yes,
I don't feel
to
like
your
it.
dog, you are. But I live on a little hobby farm, so it's
Oh,
been
very
good
nice.
to have, a dog like that.
I love it. And when you can give them outlets like that,
Yes.
it is such a great
Y'all,
match.
they're very
You know,
happy.
but these are not generally. This is not the breed you want when you're in a high-rise, one-bedroom or studio apartment. No.
I think there'll be behavioral issues that will be problems.
Yes.
Here's just an example. I had a Springer. What's it called? It was a herding dog.
Border collie.
Border collie. Sorry. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
And we were walking the dog by a school, and all the kids were like, "We know, Brownie. We know Brownie." And I was like, I don't know, "Brownie's always locked in the back." It's like, no, it was a 10-foot fence, and we stayed one time. Instead of leaving for work, we stayed in our car. Brownie would jump the fence. You see these little paws come up, flip herself over the fence,
Wow.
take a nice walk 4 or 5 blocks to the schoolyard at lunch, spend the time playing with the children,
Very bright dog.
and then make her way back before we got home.
That's amazing.
Which leads us to how to teach a dog not to do that and stay at their home. We've talked about the consistency, language, and language being both verbal and nonverbal. Tell us about how you teach dogs, actually, how you teach us humans to work and communicate with the language of dogs.
Well, of course, it's a combination of the two. I am, of course, training the dog while I'm there, but more so, mainly because I primarily do in-home training right now with my business. And you need to take all of the dog's world into consideration, right? So walking into the home, you need to look at the environment. How is this dog and their particular breed or breed mix interacting with this environment? But even beyond that, I think there are some universals where you have to establish a sort of a base level of communication with your dog. They're not born into this world speaking our language. And that's obvious. And yet, many people will just start expecting their dog to just know commands. Like, if we just repeat this word enough, our dog will eventually get it. And they might, but that's just not a very efficient or even a fair way of training. So, for example, if I just teaching a dog sit, I would perhaps start with a hand signal. That's how I'm.
And the hand signal is
might
moving your
be-
hand forward.
Yeah, and kind of up, kind of like in an upward arc kind of motion is typically the hand
so
signal
that they
I
can
use.
kind of see the flow of the movement.
Exactly, and they just naturally follow that into a sit. And that's an example of how I just translated that word sit into a way the dog will understand it.
And that's different than pushing the dog's butt down and having an alpha style,
Right.
which has been a style since the 50s, as far as I'm concerned,
Right.
of how people might look at, I've got to be alpha, and the dog only understands the wolf alpha.
Exactly. That whole way of thinking happened based on some studies. I think they were back in the late '60s, and I even checked the guy's name before I left my house, and I already forgot it. I'm sorry.
Don't worry,
I
don't worry,
believe he
no
was a
worries.
wildlife biologist or something like that. But he studied wolves in captivity and noted these hierarchies. Right. Well, wolves in captivity are not the same as wolves in the wild, or for that matter, they're not domestic dogs. They're related, but they're different.
Right.
Right. And he recognized that after he published his studies about the pecking order and the alpha. And he actually spent much of the rest of his career refuting his own findings, saying, this is wrong, don't apply it to your dogs. But it was
But it
almost
caught
like
on.
it did. It really caught fire. The
Yeah.
Pandora's box is open to this day. You still hear people talking like, well, my dog, I'm the alpha to my dog.
Well, it happens not only with dogs, but with horses too. I mean, people
Does it?
think that you need to just show the horse who's boss. It's like,
I've heard it like break the horse
yeah,
as a
you
term.
don't want to
Is
break
that-
a horse.
all
You want to
right.
gentle a horse, perhaps.
All right.
But yeah, that's
Same concept.
yeah, same kind of
Wow.
things of like, how can you show dominance so the horse is afraid?
Right.
Oh, right. You're gonna make a 1,000-pound horse afraid.
Right. Good luck.
Let's perhaps take a different route.
Right. And it can be a little bit of a game of semantics because you do want to be a leader.
Yes.
You want to provide the structure and leadership and boundaries and expectations.
But servant leadership is so much more thoughtful and
Exactly.
and kind.
And because of that study that I mentioned, a lot of training techniques were based on that were not very humane.
No.
Were kind of cruel and just not effective,
Right.
So we're still fighting a bit of an uphill battle where the difference between being the alpha and being the leader. Ultimately, I don't care what you call it as long as you're doing it the right way, in a way that's fair and humane and effective.
What I'm hearing is trust is key. I mean, the
And
dog,
consistency,
the
yes.
dog has to be able to trust you and what's going on in some way,
Absolutely.
rather than getting bossed around.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you like to go in the home. You've mentioned that.
Yes.
But there's many good reasons for what you do when you go into the home, besides just kind of checking out where they live.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so what do you look for when you're going into a home?
Yeah, I'm not there just to snoop out your house. Yes. And this is actually an area where I see a lot of overlap. Where when I did, for example, early intervention with kids, with preschoolers and dogs, where kids will act differently in different environments.
Yeah.
The same is true of dogs. So I really like being able to come in and actually see the behaviors people are talking about, because I might not see that if they were to bring the dog to me.
Right.
Say if I had a facility or if I met them out in a park or something like that. So, my first time in the house, I could actually see how the dog is functioning in their little microcosm, right? And I'm sort of informally assessing how the person is interacting with the dog. How is the dog reacting to me
Right.
as a new person walking in that house? Right.
And I'm assuming that as you're looking at it, you do keep in mind the breeds. You do keep
I do.
in mind.
I do.
This
Yes,
is-
that's
okay.
always humming in the
Yeah.
background.
It's not necessarily the decision maker.
It's
but
not. It's not. And even with pure breeds, that's not a guarantee
Right.
that a dog is going to fit into this little box. I guarantee you there are border collies out there who have no interest in herding. There are German shepherds who have no interest in guarding the house.
Yep.
Right? There are, little Yorkies who think they're a 110-pound Rottweiler.
Yes. I've seen those darkies.
Right? And I love them. But there's no guarantee. It's more likely for a pure breed to have this set of given behaviors, but you never walk in just assuming that's what you're going to see.
You had mentioned earlier that there are some pros and cons to purebreds. If you want to share a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think, in my opinion anyway, I think one of the biggest pros, if you're looking for a specific set of behaviors for your situation, maybe a family dog, maybe a hunting dog, herding dog, then by all means, I think it's a great fit as long as you understand what you're getting into with that specific breed and what their needs are. As long as you can meet their what their genetic drive is. Genetics are hugely important. Despite what popular belief is out there, oh, it's all about the training. It has nothing to do with the dogs. That's absolutely wrong. Genetics are a huge factor. As long as you can provide that, that's great. The flip side is many people rush in because they like the looks of a dog, or maybe they saw it on a TV series or something. Oh, that's great. I want that dog.
The collies got overbred after Lassie.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
just sad.
Yeah, exactly.
And it can turn the breed into something
Right.
else.
And it goes both ways. I mean, pit bulls, we know it, they get a really bad rap. And when they are either aggressive by nature or trained to be fighting dogs, or both, they can be really dangerous. But by and large, they're actually very gentle, family-oriented dogs.
So, again, I'm going to bring back how important it is to get the right dog
Yes.
before, or get the right dog before going to the shelter and deciding that you
Yes.
want a dog.
Yes.
And if you are going to go to the shelter, you would be a person that would help them and guide them in understanding, get to know them as people too, and what their needs are
Absolutely.
and what their interests are.
Absolutely.
And then once they are a dog family, being able to work with them.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to share about some of the premises and the ideas of Paw and Order?
Well, we work with all breeds, all ages, all sizes. I also work with multiple dog households. Given my previous background, I love working with people of all ages and ability levels. I welcome working with kids. I actually really enjoy it. I did it for such a long time. And my training techniques really span a vast range. I'm what you would call a balanced trainer. So I will look at any variety of tools and techniques as long as they're humane, as long as they're effective, and as long as they are something that the people I'm working with can carry out when I'm not there working with them.
You worked at the Humane Society for a
Yes.
while. What would you say is the biggest reason dogs get turned into the Humane Society?
Behavioral issues, by and large.
And some of those would be?
Difficulty house training, aggression, destructive tendencies. Frankly, a lot of people don't really know what they're getting into when they get a dog. It could be the impulse buy. And you'll see it a lot in the surrender forms. The family didn't have time for the dog, which is heartbreaking. You know, and again, I appreciate, you stressing this so much. Talk to a trainer before you even get a dog.
The earlier the better. Is what I'm
Yes,
hearing.
absolutely.
John Rosakis is who we're speaking with from Paw and Order Twin Cities.
And you'll give us the website?
pawandorder.com/Twin Cities. Put a dash between twin and cities. But just, make a dash for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
I love it.
and read through the website. There's some really good ideas there. And you could also see an interview that you did on KSTP.
Yes.
Which is a fun interview with your dog and showing
With
some of those
Otis.
techniques with both using the verbal and the physical cues, which I think is really interesting. So we're going to be right back. And when we come back, in the next segment, we're going to be talking about some tips to be thinking about in working with your dog. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back. We're so glad that you're with us on Connections Radio Show today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and I have Rick Bernardo, my co-host, and I've got John Rosakis, who is an excellent dog trainer from the Paw and Order Dog Training. And we've been talking about dogs. We've been talking about types of dogs. We've been talking about connecting with dogs. We've been talking about training, and we've been talking about the connection and some of the magic that takes place. And I highly encourage exploring that magic, even if you don't have a dog yourself. I'm sure you have a friend who does. Dogs are special. I know Rick has a special story that he has about dogs.
Well, I've been thinking since John Rosakis here had said something about his history as a pediatric therapist. I remember I worked a few years with Women and Nations. It's a shelter, a domestic violence shelter in St. Paul. And we would have not only the women, but their children with us a lot. And some of the social workers that we worked with came in one time with a story. They had just come from a time with a therapy dog and some of the children. And there was some always some magic that would happen there. In this case, they were in tears because this one little boy, about 8 years old, hadn't spoken for like 2 weeks. And after 5 to 10 minutes with this dog, all of a sudden, he puts his hand on this dog, starts pouring out his heart about what he's been going through and what's been happening.
Yeah.
And everybody was just like in tears. Like I was just remembering it. I broke down.
Yeah.
The beauty I have with dogs, my feeling about the beauty of dogs is their unconditional love. I mean, they teach us love. They teach us how to love and in that moment and forgiveness,
Letting
how
go.
to be in the moment. And I can see where there's a desire for people to have that, but it also comes with responsibility and being a responsible pet owner.
Absolutely, yes.
And in addition to wanting to hire you as Paw and Order coming in and supporting that process, and one shouldn't feel bad about needing a trainer to help you, just like a counselor in a marriage.
Right, exactly, exactly.
It's how do you make sure that connection is working. What are some things people can be thinking about with just your advice in terms of working with dogs, big picture, a little takeaway for them to be thinking about?
Well, big picture, I'd say, in the present day, dogs are largely seen as part of the family, and that's great. They're well treated, they're well taken care of. I think the danger in that is viewing them and treating them as little mini human beings. They are a different species, right? So as such, many of the things I think we do, even if it's with the best of intentions, can backfire and perhaps even be harmful toward
And
the
we
dog.
might get hurt,
Right.
and disappointed.
Right.
And thinking the failure, the house training, why are dogs not, going out? Well, are you keeping a regular schedule?
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
talk
Yeah.
about people having different learning styles. Talk about species. Holy cow.
Interspecies. Exactly. Yeah. And it took me a while to really understand and just figure that out. And it's deceptively simple, but I work with dogs all day, so I'll come in like, no, let's start from, let's pull this back and start from the beginning. So like the example you gave as far as house training, is the dog on a schedule? Well, no, the dog isn't telling me, air quotes again, that they need to go out. Like, well, first of all, it's kind of your job, at least at first, to get them out there. And
Yes.
second of all, your dog probably is, but it's subtle, and you're just not paying close
They
enough
can't
attention.
leave a note by the door for you.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Although there are some that are like training their dogs to ring a bell. I've seen that. Does that work?
Oh, it works. But the majority of people, I will not teach my dogs to do that because virtually everyone I've ever worked with who's done that regrets it, because when you train your dog, ring that bell and you get to go outside, guess what?
Ring.
They don't stop.
Wow.
You're not paying attention. Ring.
Exactly. So the bell gets taken away, and
This is John Rosakis, Twin Cities Paw and Order. Just look that up on the website, pawandorder.com, Twin Cities.
And we really appreciate that you came today, share your ideas, your insights.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ultimately, I think what we all want is to have a good relationship with our dog.
Yes,
And
I
if
can
we're
help.
having problems, you're a good person. But even if you're a good relationship, but you want to take that relationship a little further,
Yes,
you're able to help us do the advanced stage.
absolutely. Yes.
So thank you to Paw and Order Dog Training. Thank you, Rick, for sharing your stories. And thank you for listening in to Connections Radio Show. We're glad you're here.